Hello, my name is Trey Mozagemba. I am the Cloud Product Manager here at cPacket Networks. And today we're going to be doing a demonstration of deploying our cStor-V in Azure using the Azure Marketplace. cStor-V, of course, is our virtual packet capturing analytics solution, which is available in Azure and other cloud environments. We recently had the cStor-V published on the Azure Marketplace, which we're really excited about. And that's what we'll be demonstrating today, is going through an actual live deployment. So before I actually get into the demo itself, I just wanted to provide an overview of what we'll be deploying and configuring today. So essentially, we'll start by navigating to the listing in the Azure Marketplace to obtain the image and then to configure the deployment using the Azure console. So we'll be walking through the recommended deployment configuration step by step with all of you viewing today. We'll also be deploying the cStor-V VM and then logging into the cPacket UI itself, where we'll then go ahead and activate the product license and we'll validate that packet capture capabilities are enabled. As far as prerequisites or what will be standing up as part of this deployment, it will include our cStor-V, which is an Ubuntu-based VM being deployed in an Azure subscription. We'll also be creating and attaching 2 additional data disks for capture and storage purposes. And then as part of the standard demo, we'll just go ahead and create a new VNet, a new NSG or network security group, an SSH key, and et cetera, some other ancillary components. You can see in the screenshot provided there, that's essentially the bulk of what will be standing up as part of the deployment today. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the actual cStor-V deployment demo. So let's get started on the demo. I'm starting here on the Azure Marketplace homepage. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in cPacket at the search bar at the top of the screen. And we're going to go ahead and select the cPacket cStor-V listing. So now that we're here, you can see that we do have our cStor-V listing in the Azure Marketplace. We have some resources at the bottom and the description, of course. What we're going to go ahead and do is select the blue Get It Now button on the left-hand side of the screen, and then we'll hit continue again. And so when you hit continue here, you're sharing some basic information with Microsoft and cPacket about you as a customer. And on this next page, you'll know you're at the right place if you see the cStor-V Packet Capture BYOL plan. It is currently the only plan we have available. So with that, we'll just go ahead and hit the blue Create button. This will drive us right into the Create a Virtual Machine workflow. So this is where we'll do all of the configuration for your cStor-V virtual appliance, and I'll walk through step by step what things need to be modified or changed depending on you or your environment if you are following along on your side with this deployment. The first thing you want to do is make sure that you are deploying in the correct subscription. So I'm going to go ahead and keep mine on my demo subscription here. And I'm going to actually skip next down to the virtual machine name. So what we're going to do is call this cStor-V Azure Marketplace. And you can see when I click out of that box, the resource group actually populates a default name, which you see above as cStor-V Azure Marketplace _group. So I'll go ahead and keep that resource group along with this virtual machine name. Again, you may or may not want to create your own resource group. I would certainly recommend doing so, but some of these things will certainly be optional on your side depending on your environment and your particular preferences. As far as the region goes, I'll keep the region of East US2, which is the default. Again, feel free to change that on your side if needed. We'll go ahead and keep all of these availability zone options as default here on the screen. And you'll also see that the cStor-V Packet Capture BYOL image is also pre-selected. So nothing to change here on any of these items. So we'll scroll to the bottom where we'll start seeing the machine size. So when it comes to the size here, we definitely do recommend just using our standard D8S V5 for general POCs and evaluations. If you are in a POC with cPacket, generally we do a bit of a sizing exercise to figure out what machine type you need depending on your capture requirements, your throughput, your storage requirements, all of those different things, data retention. But by default for today, we'll just go ahead and use the standard D8S V5, which has been validated with the cStor virtual appliance images. And now we'll go down to the administrator account section. So we do recommend that you do use an SSH public key, and you can either use an existing SSH public key pair, or you can generate a new one. We definitely do. We'll just go ahead and do the generating a new pair for today's exercise, and you will want to make sure very important that you do have a username of Ubuntu for your SSH public key. So it's probably easiest to generate a new key pair, but feel free to use an existing one if you'd like, and I'll go ahead and keep the default key pair name that it's assigned for me here. So once we've done that, I will go ahead and click next and to proceed to the disk section. And so for the disks, you will see that there is already a 30 gig disk pre-selected here. And this is actually the OS, the operating system disk. So what we're going to do is actually attach two different additional data disks for capture and storage purposes. So what we're going to do is select this create and attach a new disk button here. And what we're going to do for today's exercise is just select 256 gigabit drives. So you'll see there's a change size button here at the bottom. We'll go ahead and select the 256 gig option. And you can see that the performance tier of the default P15 with 1100 IOPS, I'll just go ahead and keep that as my selection. And so we'll choose 256. The other thing to do is you want to make sure that you do select this checkbox that says delete disk with VM, just to make sure you don't have any stray disk volumes hanging out there after you delete the machine at some point in the future. So once we select that checkbox, we'll hit OK. And like I said, we're going to be adding two disks. So I'll go ahead and go through that same process one more time to add a 256 gig disk, and I'll check this checkbox, and we are good to go. So once we've added the two disk volumes, we'll go to the next networking button here on the bottom. So for today's demo, I'm actually not going to be changing any of these values, but this is where it gets specific to, if your environment, if you want to use a particular VNet, use a particular subnet, you can certainly make those configuration changes here. As part of just this demo deployment, I'm actually just going to keep everything as it's defaulted, so nothing to change here per se, but definitely these would be some potential areas where customers may want to use a particular VNet for POC purposes, etc. So now I'm going to scroll to the top, and we're actually going to skip through these next few sections and go directly to tags. So we do add a owner tag as a best practice here at cPacket. Certainly, organizations have their own standards and requirements for tags. Feel free to add any tags that you need here. And then we'll go ahead and hit the review and create button. So what's going to happen here, it looks like the validation has passed for this VM. You can scroll down to see all of the various configuration that we've just gone through as part of the Create a Virtual Machine workflow. Again, just double check that everything looks good to go here. But since I'm pretty confident in what we have, I will go ahead and hit the blue Create button. When I hit this, it'll prompt me to download the private key. So because we did generate a new SSH key pair, this is my opportunity to download the private key. And once I click this blue button, it will move forward to creating the resource. So there goes my key. I can see that I have successfully downloaded the key, and this will take a few seconds. So now I can see that the deployment is in progress, and this generally takes about a minute to complete. So we'll go ahead and pause the video until the deployment has completed. Awesome. So now that the deployment is complete, as indicated by this green checkbox here, we can go ahead and move forward. And I will go ahead and hit the blue Go to Resource button here, which will take me to the virtual machine overview. So we do generally recommend waiting 5 to 10 minutes. It does take some time for all of these services and containers to boot up as part of the initialization, as part of the first time boot of this particular VM. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pause the video, and we'll come back in 5 to 10 minutes to continue forward with the demo here. So now that we've waited the 5 to 10 minutes, what we're going to do now is attempt to log into the cPacket user interface. So you can get there by navigating to the public IP, which has been allocated to this machine. So I'll go ahead and copy this and open this up in a new browser tab. And you will get the invalid certificate warning here. You can bypass it a couple of different ways, but I'll just go ahead and proceed here. Okay, so now we are at the login page, and you're probably wondering what the credentials are. So what we're going to do is actually go back to the VM overview page, and on the right-hand side, you'll notice there's a JSON view button. So we're going to go ahead and click that to retrieve the password. So what we're looking for is the VM ID, and in this case, it can be found on row 19. So the VM ID is a unique ID specific to this particular instance, and that's what we actually use for the default password on the UI login. So I'll go ahead and copy that to my clipboard, and I will go back here. So for the username, you'll just actually type cPacket. That's the default username. And again, the password, you'll insert that VM ID, and then you will go ahead and click login. Great. So now we are here on the cStore landing page. And you'll notice there's a yellow banner at the top, which is complaining about the fact that there's no active license. So as I mentioned before, we are a bring your own license kind of style in terms of how we interact with customers. So you will need to interact with a cPacket representative to get a license key for your trial or POC, or if you've purchased the software, that our cPacket representative can provide a license key. But assuming that you are able to move forward here, we'll go ahead and try to get this instance license. One thing I did want to point out before I go ahead and activate the license is you will notice that the download button here in the capture table is disabled. So you're not able to click either of these buttons here, download or save as report. This is because the instance is unlicensed. So when we come back here in a moment, you'll see that the download button is then in fact enabled, enabling you to retrieve a PCAP. But to activate the license, what we're going to do is go to the software tab on the left-hand side of the screen here. And our license activation for online instances is very easy. All you'll need to do is hit the add license button. And then again, you'll go ahead and enter the license key, which is provided by cPacket. So I'll go ahead and hit apply here. And I get this green indicator on the right-hand side that indicates that the online license has now been activated. So I can see that my cStor-V is activated here, along with a couple of the other products. So what we're going to do now is go back to the capture tab on the left-hand side of the screen. And you will now see that, again, the download button and the save as report are enabled now. So at a high level, what this user interface is allowing you to do is to specify a specific filter or query to go retrieve a PCAP file based on your specific criteria. So you can do things like different source and destination IP addresses. You can specify the outer inner VLAN in terms of trying to filter that down. But what I'm going to do, just for the sake of this demo and the sake of time, what this is configured for by default when you get to this page is basically, if you do nothing else and you just hit download, it will go back and retrieve all of the traffic over the last 5 seconds. Again, you can filter it down using our filters here, but I'm just going to go ahead and move forward and hit download here to confirm that the appliance is performing as expected. You can see that there is some captured bits here that are changing constantly, refreshing roughly every second. So what I'll do now is hit download, and you can now see that the PCAP did successfully download. So I'll go ahead and double click that just to see what it looks like in Wireshark itself. And it looks like there was very little traffic in this particular case, but you can confirm that there is traffic that is being captured and is viewable at your fingertips as part of this PCAP download. So that's the end of our cStor-V deployment demo and overview. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we will be back with more demonstrations in the near future. Appreciate the time, and thanks for tuning in.